What's up guys, how's it going? Today we're taking a full dive into Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64. Super Smash Bros. Was the ultimate celebration of Nintendo mascots that nobody saw coming. As kids, it was the game you never knew you needed until you finally saw its impossible to forget commercial in the spring of 1999. These are 30 seconds that changed our lives forever, and gave birth to a 5-entry series that is still played today. All these legendary Nintendo characters in one place for as many glorious, chaotic, and explosive fights as you want, it was a title that screamed to be played. We were lucky a kid in the neighborhood finally got his hands on a copy. The introduction was straight out of heaven. It drew players in with an alluring, softer tone of innocence. Before those fingers snap, and the game completely blows you away. What in God's name were we in for? It's such a cool mashup of all the characters in the original settings, along with the immense enticement that comes from watching straight up brilliant carnage. All these icons coming together to settle who is the biggest and baddest of them all. It's straight up face melting. It's the kind of thing that just seemed too good to be true, but here it was in all of its glory. The only game in existence with this all-star cast, and possibly enough firepower to match. So after seeing an intro like this, what's the first thing you're gonna do? Open up 4 players, right? Look at all 8 of these guys, their faces portrayed in such a well-illustrated, timeless fashion. Of course you're immediately dying to know who are the 4 missing characters. Look at this static and those question marks. It drove our imaginations wild. Who in the world could they be? A really fun fact about these original 8 characters is that they are sorted chronologically. We have 8 legendary Nintendo characters and their games represented.
Mario! Donkey Kong! Link! Samus! Yoshi! Kirby! Fox! Pikachu!
Let's quickly show all 8 characters in motion right now, with some quick footage from 2 4-player games.
3, 2, 1.
The characters all vary in their speed, jumps, weight, sizes, and possess large, cleverly implemented movesets that are a combination of what we've seen in games before, and filling the rest with some more standard combat moves like a variety of punches and kicks. The characters move acrobatically in the air. As the name implies, the main concept is to smash your opponents off screen. The idea is to rack up damage, which sends characters further as a result. This design is at the heart of what makes it so universally fun. But Super Smash Bros. Has an insanely high skill ceiling. The game is still heavily played competitively to this day. For starters, each character has around 10 to 13 moves for the A button, when combined with the joystick, with standard moves, tilts, and smash attacks. Also 5 A moves in the air, one with each direction, and another with no direction at all, known as neutral. And a whopping 3 moves assigned to your B button, which became 4 as soon as Melee came out less than 2 years later. You can shield and grab with the R and Z buttons, plus holding shield and hitting left or right is a quick invincibility roll. Naturally, the first thing you'll want to do is slam out some 4-player action, But the nagging thing to do is unlock those 4 mystery characters. So let's jump into the 1-player mode and work on unlocking those. It's hard to decide our first choice of character, but we might as well go with the Nintendo King himself to start things out. It's hard to fully appreciate and grasp that this type of thing was on the Nintendo 64. I mean, we just got to embrace Mario and The Legend of Zelda in 3D for our first times, and somehow, months later, they can full-on duke it out. It's honestly amazing how quickly we've come to this. I remember it feeling like this new trail couldn't be blazed any hotter. It's the kind of game that seems like it came straight out of Nintendo's biggest fans' dreams. Super Smash Bros. Represents action bursting at the seams with those juicy, satisfying sound effects, and smacking your opponent to their doom with the roar of the crowd and cries from the characters. The way we unlock the first 2 characters can be achieved with easy playthroughs, so we'll start on very easy, but cover very hard for several characters later. Most of Super Smash Bros. Staying power comes from its robust multiplayer, while single player is made pretty short and sweet, but it does a fantastic job of including all of the characters with variety and some little randomness elements too. It takes a while to get a real hold of Super Smash Bros., but when you get a basic idea, you of course become a lot more effective in the unique strategy of this first-of-its-kind platform fighter. Second round is against a Yoshi team. When you see how many there are, this might seem ridiculous, but the Yoshi's weights are severely nerfed, to the point where certain attacks will kill them immediately. For Mario, his up B and throws will always get it done, even at 0%. It doesn't take too much to send these guys flying. The stage is based on a page out of Yoshi's story on the Nintendo 64, so it's another great theme here, and a fun second stage to give you that feeling of chaos with multiple enemies and more opportunity to use items. Third battle is taking us into the Lilat system with Star Fox.
Mario versus Fox!
Fox can be a bit more annoying of an opponent, but it's a big stage, so you just have to focus on the basics. It's easy to make dumb little mistakes during the handling of his stock. The theme here is from Sector Z from Star Fox 64. We're fighting on top of the massive Great Fox ship. There are stage hazards here. A member of the Star Fox team will come by shooting some lasers, and these things can really make for some surprises. Three fights in, you're met with the first of the 3 bonus stages. Break the Targets, a classic challenge that has remained in the following Smash Bros. Entries. There's a unique Break the Targets for each character, and this was the case for its sequel in Super Smash Bros. Melee, but stopped being the case with Super Smash Bros. Brawl. There's no real incentive to get through this. Yes, there are points, but they don't really matter in regard to unlocking anything, so if you're in a hurry, you can just plummet to your doom. The fourth fight is against the Mario Bros, and since we're the standard color Mario, our opponent has to wear an alternate color. Having it be Wario themed is a really nice touch. This fight includes Luigi, who always looks like he's just super over it. He's got kind of a weird attitude in this game, but it may make you realize something: you don't have Luigi in your roster already. Going against Luigi every time on stage 4, even without him being unlocked, makes him entirely unique in this way. It's a great reveal though, and a fantastic excuse for a 2-on-2 match. This stage is a little different. It's got some moving parts like the lower level that alternates its extensions left and right, plus there's a bumper placed straight above in the middle, which is honestly pretty bizarre, since bumpers are their own standalone item, and they just placed one specifically on this stage and none on the others. And there are also 2 angled ramps, top left and top right. It's the only stage to be framed in this way. Kind of an interesting little pinball spin on the stage. Another thing to point out, being that this is a 2-on-2 battle, here's our first randomness element, the selection of your ally. We got Kirby this time, not like it really matters. On very easy, just get the enemies off stage and try to keep them there. Stage 5 matches us against Pikachu in Saffron City.
Mario versus Pikachu!
Without seeing the name of the stage, you can actually tell what city you're in because it says Silphco on the front of the building. This one was one of our favorite maps when we were younger. There's one of 5 Pokemon that could pop out of this doorway here, pretty much right in the middle of the stage. When we were really feeling wild, we would throw the items on very high and only allow Pokeballs. You just have to understand why a bunch of 90s kids would have so much fun with this. When it comes to Pikachu though, he often makes mistakes with his recovery, specifically on his stage due to the gaps in between the buildings, which is pretty ironic, so he does not have home field advantage at all. You might as well follow him down there. On to stage 6, here we are with a 3-on-1 match against Giant Donkey Kong.
MarMax versus Giant Donkey Kong.
Your teammates can make or break these types of fights. The Giant DK is pretty much the opposite situation as the Yoshi team. This guy needs to take a ton of damage before getting sent anywhere. It doesn't help when any of your teammates are suicidal right off the bat. Funny enough, it ends up being Mario and Donkey Kong against Donkey Kong. And most fitting of all, how do we end this fight? With a Super Hammer power-up from the Donkey Kong arcade. Perfection.
Game set.
Bonus stage 2 is Board the Platforms. These are also unique for every character, so they're really cool to see. Board the Platforms did not make its way beyond the original Super Smash Bros., probably because they're such a similar concept to break the targets. Instead of hitting a target, you land on it. But the creativity with the stages and characters is still what's pretty cool about it. I honestly kind of miss these when they weren't included in Melee. Stage 7, we go toe-to-toe with the Kirby team on the Dreamland stage.
Mario versus Kirby team.
We've got Wispy in the background, occasionally blowing wind. Kirby was made a really neat character in Smash Bros. Since they went through the effort of having a standard B as his copy ability. When Kirby has taken an ability, he can now use that character's B button. So these Kirbys all start with one of these moves, which is always really entertaining. The cool thing about these guys is they'll only have copy abilities of the 4 mystery characters once they're unlocked, so the additional randomness with the Kirbys that you'll see as more characters get unlocked is pretty cool. Unfortunately for them, they won't get too much of a chance to use their abilities if you are quick to use your best moves for them. Fun fact is you can see King DDD sometimes flying in the background. And on ultra rare occasions, the mystical double DDD can be witnessed as well. Our 8th fight is against the intergalactic hero, Samus, which takes place on planet Zebes. Another great theme with a unique look, and it takes a little time to see how dangerous it can be. It's not uncommon at all if a fight ends from a hit of the Rising Acid, which can engulf everything aside from the top platform. So rack up some damage, make your way to the top platform, and before you know it, the fight will be over. Another fun enemy cameo, Ridley can be seen flying in the background, using the sprite straight from Super Metroid. At this point is when I remember that there's a taunt button in this game. For Mario, that's replicating the effects of a Super Mushroom. Speaking of Mario though, Stage 9 is against Metal Mario. A surprising and fresh cameo from the recent Super Mario 64. It's a pretty fantastic idea to stretch out single player just a bit more with a unique challenge. And as you could expect, this guy isn't going anywhere easily. You have to apply quite a bit of damage. His dense metal frame makes sure of that. The easiest way to get rid of him is to use his weight to his downfall. He falls so quickly that sometimes he doesn't recover very well. As young kids, we couldn't help but wonder if Metal Mario was one of the 4 unlockable characters. I always thought it was a bummer that you couldn't unlock Metal Mario's stage. I guess the same can be said for the next couple levels too. But before we get there, we have bonus level 3. Race to the finish. It's really simple here. You just have to move down a handful of floors, getting past some obstacles and 3 polygon fighters, which are like clones of actual characters. There's nothing too crazy to say about this place, just a simple little challenge that got a lot longer and more involved in Melee. It makes sense we are introduced to polygon fighters here, since stage 10 has us taking on a horde of them. We've got 30 polygon fighters to take on, but as we've learned before, there are a handful of moves that really make getting rid of these guys a lot easier. So you might feel cheap, but you just have to keep doing those while grabbing any helpful items, hopefully not making any horribly stupid mistakes, which can occasionally happen. This death was a complete waste, but no worries though, 2 last opponents to knock out before our final stage.
Game set.
Here we are at the end. Now we have to face off against the Master Hand. It's the same hand that brought the dolls out in the beginning to play, which is pretty interesting. The fight is really different. Master Hand doesn't rack up percentage to be knocked off stage, but instead has a fixed amount of health that you chip away at. So that's the name of the game. String together as many attacks as you can, but try not to overextend and get brutally punished. On very easy, you don't get sent too far, so you can get away with being more reckless. It's pretty exciting fighting this guy for your first time. Feels like a legit boss fight. One of my favorite little things to do when finishing the Master Hand is floating off stage with your last attack. It just looks that much funnier and more dramatic. As stated earlier, the first 2 characters are unlocked by completing playthroughs, which can be on very easy. Most players wouldn't unlock the character we're about to see first though, since he's only unlocked if you're fast enough. It's pretty amazing how they wrap things up in a way to remind you that this is all during playtime. All of these fights amongst Nintendo icons all seem to be a figment of our imagination. I've never seen credits like with Super Smash Bros. You can select the different names to read about what they did. A cool reward for each completed playthrough is a character-specific victory screen.
Congratulations!
The first character we will be unlocking is Captain Falcon from the F-Zero series. With him being an intergalactic racer, they find it most fitting to bring you to Planet Zebes. It makes enough sense. The worst thing of all about losing to a challenger though is having to replay the entire single-player campaign again for another try. Sure, it might only take like 15 minutes, but a careless death at the end is still super annoying, something to be avoided at all costs. No matter the difficulty setting, they do make the unlockable characters more aggressive, so he's not going to behave on very easy. Even still, he's not a terrible challenge to unlock, as long as you don't do anything too stupid. You can now use Captain Falcon, collector of space race trophies. The next thing to do is beat the game again, and since we already went over what each of the 14 events are, we don't need to waste nearly as much time. While we have Captain Falcon unlocked, I was tempted to use him, but might as well use the second biggest Nintendo icon on our second playthrough. There's no need for very easy, let's try easy this time. It's not going to become difficult, but the enemies have a little more life to them. First match is of course head to head with ourselves against Link, who's wearing a red tunic since we have the original. Link's a pretty neat character with his sword attacks and all those different sounds that come with them, plus his boomerang and bomb attacks too. He's a much different character to play with than our first. The team of Yoshis don't prove to be much of an issue either, just banking on the best moves for these types of enemies. Fox was actually being pretty annoying to start, but just had to focus, bring things back, and get this guy off stage with a bomb for good measure. It's cool to see Link's break the targets. As we mentioned earlier, each character is different. If you're fond of platforming, the chances are you're gonna like all of these stages. Moving on to our fight with the Mario Bros. By the way, look who we have as a teammate, and guess who came ready to fight. Got some pretty awesome work done by Captain Falcon, as we each take out one of the Mario Brothers at the same time. Here we go again with Pikachu, which doesn't go smoothly at first, but we bring it back, before ending the fight with an explosive capsule. Giant DK is made that much more dense on each difficulty. Even on easy, he can take 250+% and still not be sent very far. But after some beating and managing to clip him at the edge as he tried to recover, he's been defeated once more. Now, Link scored the platform test. Funny enough, I missed on the last one, which was disappointing at the time, but in hindsight, it's great for footage, so we can all hear that infamous, soul-crushing failure. Eight Kirbys to slaughter with one sword. We can use the grab really well here. Might as well note that Link's grab is one of two grabs in the game that are a lot different than the others. Samus and Link have a delay and cooldown on their grab, but the grab range is longer. Actually, can't forget about Yoshi, he also has an extended grab, but instead of using a gadget, he just uses his tongue. Many players would tell you it's not a favorable trade, but it does look cool. I love how he hookshots his opponents before a big old boot off screen. It's also kind of insane to think about the fact that he is piercing and dragging in his opponents with the hookshot. Sounds a whole lot like a certain fighting game I'm sure we all know. Speaking of Samus though, we face off against her next, and it goes just fine. Almost had something pretty awesome happen with the bomb walking above, but fate wouldn't have it. After an up B to finish things off, it's time to fight Metal Mario. This fight just turned into a bullying near the edge and interrupting his recovery, so just like that, it's now time for a race to the finish. It's no surprise that this was also not a very big deal. Gotta slay the 30 polygon fighters again between the up B and grabs. It's simple. Any health replenishing items just help seal the deal. Before long, we are moving on to the Master Hand again. Chipping away 300 HP isn't too hard, just gotta keep up with the sword pokes and items so we can finally unlock our second character. The character you first unlock with just a standard playthrough, who could it possibly be? It's Jigglypuff. We all remembered her from the anime, watching as kids. It honestly blew all of our minds that she was in this game. So you'd think we should play it safe and make this an easy fight so we can go on to unlocking the third character, right? Remember what I was saying earlier about stupid mistakes forcing you to retry the entire thing? Well, I'm gonna be honest, that's what happened to me on one of these platforms. The fight wasn't going well to start, but surely a bit of focus can bring it back. But I got nudged off in the middle of an attack, and Link's pathetic recovery means it wouldn't happen this time. Man, that is so annoying. I don't miss this feeling. So I go back and just spend another 15 minutes getting through all those stages to get to this part again. And now let's unlock Jigglypuff for real this time. I thought about switching off of Link, but that's just ridiculous. He needs his revenge. Here we are trying to be smarter about the whole thing. Why not play it safe with some weapons first? And after not too long, attack at 80%, we can now use the balloon Pokemon, Jigglypuff. The way we unlock the third character we'll go for, the guy we saw earlier, Luigi, requires going into the other solo player modes. You need to either break the targets with all 8 characters or board the platforms. For sake of curiosity and footage, I can show off all 8 characters. There's nothing too hard about any of this, it's just one of those things that takes a few minutes, while anything too careless results in a retry. Some are easier than others, but it's doubtful that any of them would be considered very hard. At their core, they're just simple platforming levels to get through. Once you finish the last test, your match with Luigi can finally take place. If you were to lose to him, he's the least annoying hidden character to get a retry with, since you just have to finish another break the targets or board the platforms with whoever you want and you'll get another chance. It's much better than having to play through the total of 14 stages in the main single player mode. I didn't think too much about who the final character would be for the match, but turns out we're going to use Yoshi to bring this Mario bro over to our roster. Luigi was trying to put up a fight, but we just weren't having any of it. Caught him with a few smashing headbutts. Before long, Luigi officially belongs to us. You can now use Luigi, the eternal understudy. Now that 3 of our 4 characters are unlocked, there's just one more to go. We have to step up the difficulty for our last unlockable character, which really sends the message that this one is going to be the most special of all. Let's bring out the muscle with the legendary Great Ape, Donkey Kong. It's time to really show these opponents what we think of them this time. Normal with only 3 lives, no continues allowed if you want the mystery character match to take place at the end. Now there's a lot less room for error, not like you'll get punished for every mistake, but 3 lives through the 11 fights with tougher opponents can make you sweat here and there. The group enemies can take more damage than usual too, so the strategy matters even more. All the close calls have to go your way, otherwise you're going to have to redo this whole thing. Donkey Kong is kind of a goofy character, but he has some great tools. I think it's fair to say that a few favorites would be his strong grab game, his spikes off stage, and of course, his massive wind-up gorilla punch.
Game set!
His up B tornado spin also has some great points of knockback. You have to be really careful against certain enemies, like the giant form of Donkey Kong. The Kirbys are more of a pain as well, if you keep getting stuck with their attacks walling you out. I lost one of the 3 lives here. Gotta tighten up to not lose more. Fortunately, was able to use this invincibility to stomp the hammer out of this Kirby. With these group battles, sometimes items are extra important. Couldn't help myself but pause on Charizard. Look at this team. It really is insane that this guy became a playable character eventually. The Pokemon sprites used in this Smash Bros. Are really cool and different, if not funny looking next to your polygons. I clearly did sprites to save on time, and they're really interesting to look at these days. But you know who I also had to struggle a bit with was against Samus. That dang rising level of danger caught DK with just the right amount of health, barely dying off at the top of the screen. Have to really focus with this single life going forward on the next handful of stages. It'd be a shame to have to retry. Let's see if we can't make up for those careless mistakes. Fortunately, Metal Mario got completely embarrassed, so that fight was easy. The team of 30 polygon fighters are going to be a test, because they do try a lot harder to hit you than the lower difficulties. Had to go to war to get through this stage without losing the last life. It'd be a shame to get through all of this, but not the Master Hand. Master Hand on medium still has 300 HP, but his time between his attacks is lessened, plus his knockback is increased. You have to stay aggressive. We're going to be relying a bit on DK's heavier weight, which makes survival a bit easier. With 2 high percentage nail biters in a row, we are through medium with 3 lives. It's time to unlock our final character. Here comes the psychedelic little boy whose inclusion in the Smash Bros. Series single-handedly jump-started the demand of Earthbound, known elsewhere as Mother 2. I'm just going to be honest here, and I think I speak for over 90 to 95% of kids that played Smash Bros. Over 20 years ago. We had no idea who Ness was, but with an entrance like this, we knew we would never forget. Who the heck was this cool-looking kid with telepathic powers? Ness is the antagonist to an RPG that flew under the radar a bit later in the Super Nintendo lifespan, a game we absolutely still need to cover on the channel. But unfortunately for Ness, he didn't get much of a chance to do anything cool since I wasn't taking any chances with DK. You can now use the child genius, Ness. Well, what to do now? We've unlocked all 4 characters and get to bask in the glorious classic roster of the original 12 fighters. Since we got to see some gameplay and movement from the original 8 characters, let's show the 4 unlockables in a match together too. One thing is for sure, the variety of the different character styles and options is what makes Super Smash Bros. Always an entertaining game to come back to. We still have to complete more playthroughs though to show off the other victory screens, and also one-player mode with all 8 original characters unlocks the only mystery stage taking place in the classic Mario Bros. Universe. Getting through very hard without a game over is pretty challenging, but I did it first with Captain Falcon, just doing my best to end stocks as early as I could and try to limit too many risks. Let's check out all of these victory screens as we celebrate what this game did almost 25 years ago. Going from top left to bottom right, here are all 12 victory screens. Prepare to be congratulated. Now that we've unlocked everything, beaten single player with every character, and even got through very hard with them, it's safe to say that Super Smash Bros. On N64 has been beaten. I've got to say though, this original roster and its history really spoke to me during the video. With so many options and so much uncertainty around what game should be up next, I think this screen made it clear just how many games we still need to cover. Which of these characters' games do you want to see the most? Let me know in the comments. But for now, let's trust this old roadmap. Let's pick up this character Pog and see whose first game we're going to be playing through next.